Welcome to the Chef Founder Podcast. Today, I had the pleasure of interviewing Itamar Abramovich. Itamar is a Culinary Institute of America graduate and recently helped launch the Meat Carnival here in the US. Meat Carnival is a part workshop, part feast, part show, incredible culinary experience that I got to attend. We had a great conversation about this, along with his experience owning a business in the food industry. I hope you enjoy our conversation.
What's up, brother?
You whisk taker, you? No, pull it so people see what
Brought my shirt. It's a good shirt.
It's a great shirt.
I like funny shirts.
That is a funny shirt. You are, I do feel like funny shirts is your
punny
thing.
shirts. It's all about, I don't like
Punny,
funny.
okay, punny.
I like
sorry.
funny shirts.
That's an important distinction. Puns and jokes.
Yeah, because I'm not known for my sense of humor.
Or,
I'm not
or like
a funny guy.
Dad joke. That's like a dad.
Love dad jokes.
Puns are basically dad jokes right away.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, I have all these like isms that I use a lot in the kitchen.
Itamarisms.
Yeah. Like it's not rocket surgery.
Yes.
Or
yeah, I like that one. We use that one in the Marines a lot, actually.
You know,
not
it's
rocket
stuff like
surgery.
that when you work with somebody, it's like, okay, we're not, it's not life and death. We're not serious here.
Right. Yeah.
But
Keep it
we're
light.
serious enough that we're looking at the subject, but it's not like, oh wait, no, this is, people are shooting.
Culture. It's workplace culture.
Exactly.
Right,
It's like, I like bringing this lightheartedness to something that we do because it makes people comfortable.
What do you do? We should probably.
I feed people.
You feed people. That's a good way to put it. That's a very.
That's what at the end
It's
of
a
the day.
wholesome way to.
Yeah, because during COVID we tried to put food in boxes and send it out, and I can't do that. I need to feed people.
Yeah,
and that's the big thing for me, and that's what I love doing, and that's what I love about what you do with wood fire and fire that attracts people because it's a communal thing. It's not just here's your food.
You need to see the end result, or that's the enjoyment. Is that important to you?
Yes,
like, I like that part.
Even if you don't enjoy it, like going wine tasting with somebody, and we went wine tasting yesterday, and my wife had 2 wines that she didn't like. I'm like, good. Why didn't you like them?
Yeah.
We can have a conversation now. We can create a community about this experience. And you know, that's what I do. I feed people and I make connections and I try in my way to make the world a bit of a better place or a more pleasant place for everybody.
Leave a positive mark. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I do. And I do that mostly through food, but not just through events, through
your funny shirts too.
Punny shirts.
Yeah. Punny shirts.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like when my cook, because this is the shirt that I'll wear underneath my jacket. Like the guests won't necessarily see it. Sometimes at Carnival, if I don't wear an apron, people see it.
Yeah.
But this is a shirt that my cooks see. The people that I get to work with, they get to see it, and they're like, okay. I mean, he's my boss. He's serious, and he takes things seriously, and it's important. But he's also has this lighthearted part to him that makes me more comfortable. Because, you know, when you're comfortable, you do a better job.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's different people run businesses and manage people in so many different ways, right? And there's definitely the pressure cooker type culture that I think feels like it's on its way out a bit. You know, I mean, every industry is different, right? But I do feel like that hard ass, like, make you feel super intimidated at work and just like you need to perform always at a super, super high level, and no place for relaxing a bit or being like sit comfortable. I feel like I like to think that's maybe on its way out a bit.
I'm agreeing and disagreeing with the terminology that you were saying, because I do want you. I'm not paying you to perform at less than 100% of your ability, right? If I'm paying you, my goal as an employer, and as a, you know, even if it's a contractor or W-2 or whatever employee, I'm expecting you to perform to give me at least 2x on my money, right? If I'm paying you $1, I'm looking back for $2.50 in return, because otherwise it's not worth it for me. Because with everything else, I need to be worth my investment. So you're always expected to do that. However, the way I get you there is changing, right? I'm not expecting you to be relaxed and like, oh, I'm going to come in and coast today. No, you're coming into work, but I also want you to feel comfortable so you can push yourself.
So it's more of mind. It's a mind state. It's a state of mind for for the people that are working for you.
Exactly. So if they can get to a place that they feel, oh, I enjoy what I do, I want to do more. I'm in a place that I can generate more out of what I'm being tasked with. That's great.
Their performance goes up in that kind of a culture. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or at least the performance you want to see and the results you want to see.
Yeah. So like, I'll give you an example. I have a great employee, love her. We brought her on to manage our events. So at Meat Carnival, she was the one who was supposed to just manage the events, make sure that vendors show up on time. We have all our hand washing. We have everything we need. Tables are set, everything, all the logistics of Carnival. And then she looks like, hey, why don't we have merchandise? I'm like, well, I've been working 36-hour days and 9-day weeks. It didn't have much time to get to merchandise. Would you mind if I take it over? I'm like, sure, go for it. She created these hats. She created all our merchandise. It's freaking amazing. And that's somebody who's comfortable in what they do, in their task, and they can get to the next level that you weren't expecting.
Sure.
So that's what it's about. It's about creating this atmosphere that people feel belonging and people feel comfortable with you, so they can create more than what you just asked them to do. Because if she would just do the events, that's what I paid her for, right? She's doing great. But she was in a place that, okay, you guys are doing this for me. You're creating this comfortable place that I'm enjoying. I want to do something more. It's not like we're putting into specific words, but it wasn't like that. She was like, oh, I have this ability. Let me create this merchandise.
What is Meat Carnival?
What is Meat Carnival? Meat Carnival is a really epic dining experience. It's not just dinner. It's not just a meat event. It is a very immersive experience where it is an all-you-can-eat, all-you-can-drink, but it's also very much a connection with the chef. So in dry terms, you walk into a ginormous warehouse. There are 8 chef stations all around. Each chef station serves 6 to 8 different dishes throughout the whole night, and you get to walk around and try all of them. So that is the dry terms, right? And you've been, you've been, and that's right. If you had
on paper a summary, an AI summary, that's what it would say. Yeah.
But beyond that, it's a very immersive experience. So you get to see the chef. We don't have plates. We don't have silverware. We don't have tables, chairs, or servers. So you get to eat everything straight off the chef station. And you eat everything with your hands. So it's very primal as well. And we eliminated all lines. That's a big thing for us at Carnival. There are no lines. The only line we're accepting is for hand washing station.
And to get in. But
And to get in.
But once you're there, I remember that. It was wherever you wanted to go, it was boom, boom, go in and out, get your food.
And even to enter, the line is minimal. It's super quick. And we open doors at 6:30. By 6:45, we don't have a line at the door.
Right.
Which is something that is a lot of emphasis for us. So you get to see the chef doing their thing. Like they'll literally be making the dish right in front of you. And you get to ask questions or just get the explanation and see them do it firsthand, if not more than just... If you're just standing there and looking, that's great, but you might be asked to, hey, go wash your hands, come give me a hand, help me chop this or spread that or do whatever. So we pick people from the crowd to help us all the time. So it's a very immersive experience. It's a 3.5-hour experience that is... It's hard to explain.
It's so hard. It's so hard to put into words. I mean, it's epic. You said epic. I like that word for it. It's just, it's, I agree. Like that connected to the chef thing is always in a restaurant setting. It's not there at all.
It's not there.
If you're lucky, maybe you can see the chef and, hey, it was a great meal. Right. But and that's why I like to do the cooking classes, right? is you get to get in with the chef and pick their brain a little bit, and then like ask questions you didn't even know you had till you saw it being prepared. Like, oh, why'd you do that? Oh, because this is this. Here, come back here and like try it, and you'll see. And just these little things, and it's an experience.
Yeah. So for us, going back to where we started with our employees. So at Carnival, it's all our employees. We don't bring other chefs to show their thing. It's all in-house. But we hired these chefs that are incredible. And I'm very, very fortunate. We are very fortunate to work with them. But they love the interaction. Because if I start like, a lot of chefs will say, I cook, right? If you ask them, what do you do? Well, I cook. No, this is you feed people. You get to interact with them immediately. And that's a big thing for Carnival and for the guests, that it's very intermediate. There's nothing in the middle that blocks you from seeing what's happening. And you get, right now you'll get to, as the first thing you see when you walk in is a huge wood burning oven. And then you walk past that and we have our Black Betty, which is an incredible 1,000-gallon smoker with a live fire table. So you get to see all the live fire, and you can, like, when we have to make sure that people don't burn themselves on the live fire table.
There's not like a lot of red tape in this place. You kind of go where you want. I remember that. Yeah.
So that's a big part, is just you're really in it. We removed everything in the middle that blocks between the chef and the guest.
Where did the concept come from?
So my business partner, Ohad, started it in Israel. He started it, a bunch of dads just gathering around a grill.
Yeah, it is.
It's a dad thing.
I could see the origins being dad-based for sure.
But Ohad is also a super talented chef who worked we don't have Michelin stars in Israel, but he worked in the equivalent of a 3 Michelin star restaurant in Israel. And that's his background. So when a bunch of dads gather around a grill and you have that level of chef, he did something extra, and that's where they started developing it into something that's unique. Because it didn't really make it in the US, but in Israel, the meat eating feasts or
scene
was really big. But it's kind of boring, because it's not about the carnival. While we do call it Meat Carnival, if you notice, we put the M in parentheses, because it's about more than just the meat. You don't just get a ribeye, right? We do have ribeyes, we have tomahawk ribeyes, we have whole lambs, but you don't eat a ribeye by yourself. You'll have 2 bites.
It's communal.
It's not just that. It's the sauce on the ribeye is going to be unique. And the way we cook the lamb is going to be unique, and the kebab is going to be unique. And there's a chef's touch on every item. So that's a big part of it. It's an
like
eating
that's
thing.
something that like that chef specific is kind of putting their spin on it.
That's where it started. And he did that, and it's incredible. He still hosts them in Israel a few weeks every month.
Do you go to Israel and experience it?
No, actually, no. That's the funny thing. I was listening to a podcast, because that's usually what I listen to in the car is podcasts. And I kept hearing about this carnival this one podcast that I listened to. It's a bit of a humoristic, the 2 guys just chatting. And whenever they go to Israel, they go to the carnival in Israel. And then this one time, another podcast that I listened to went, and then he hosted Ohad and his former business partner in Israel. He hosted them on that podcast. And the passion that Ohad speaks about what he does is incredible. So I reached out and I'm like, hey, how do we host them here in the Bay Area? And when they came to do a podcast, not a podcast, a carnival in the South Bay, I just lent them all my equipment. Like, hey, you guys, here is a smoker, here are bowls, pots, pans, cutting boards, whatever you need, just take it, bring it back, clean. Just so they can do something good. And I even bought a ticket to go to the carnival here. So I got to experience it. And then
was it like a light bulb when you did go for the first time, or how did that feel? Just kind of the first time you experienced it?
It was really cool. It was very different from what the carnival is in the US. It's much more similar to what they do in Israel. So in Israel, he only hosts 50 guests a night. Only. It's still a big crowd. But everybody gets to eat everything on the menu. So the entire crowd goes through the whole menu. In the US, what we did, because I'm very much ADHD, I don't know if you noticed in this conversation, we went all over the place already. It's been 15 minutes.
No.
But so because of that, I'm like, I want everything everywhere all at once. So that's kind of where we went. We went with the first one we did was each station only served like 3 dishes. And then we're like, no, let's go crazy. Let's do everything everywhere all at once and see how it goes. And that's where it went. And so the light bulb was starting to get lit when we did that. And then we started, okay, let's think about setting up a company and doing something in the US. And we've been doing it for about 2 years now.
How many have you had?
That's a hard question. Enough to lose track.
A lot.
About 20, I want to say. About 20 weekends. Each one is 2 or 3 days, sometimes 4 days. So it's a lot.
And how so when you first started, when you kind of hosted the first few,
okay,
what was attendance like? Was it packed day one? Did you build it up?
No. So when we first started, we did one in Austin, and that was a colossal fail.
Why did it fail?
We did not play towards our strong suits. We needed it wasn't here in Napa, so we needed to rent everything. We didn't have anything.
Your costs were a lot higher.
So
and logistically, that's so much more challenging doing something at that scale, not in your home
exactly.
turf. Yeah,
exactly, and not having your own equipment and like renting a kitchen, renting a refrigeration, renting a wood burning oven, renting a smoker, renting all this, and it was great stuff. I'm not blaming the things that we had, but we didn't. As a first one, we couldn't get enough traction to cover costs.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one we did was, so after that, we looked at it and we said, okay, where should we go? And the first thing I said was like, hey, I have all this stuff in the Bay Area. I have it in Napa. Why don't we look and host in the Bay Area? Because the Bay Area is a big enough population. It's a more sophisticated, I'm not saying more than Austin, but it's a sophisticated population.
People will travel for food here.
People will
right?
drive an hour for food here, an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So we looked at Livermore, because Livermore, if you look at it geographically, is the geographic center of the Bay Area. It's
kind
about
of equal distance, South Bay.
Exactly. It's about
San Francisco,
an hour and 15 minutes from everywhere.
Yeah.
So we did one there, and it was okay. It wasn't as good as we wanted it to be, because of trying to bridge what they did in Israel to what we want to do here.
But I mean, okay, so these first two, they're tricky to get off the floor. They're struggling. But are you getting the sense? I'm curious to your mentality after these 1, 2 that were like failures or not quite. Were you like, something's here, we're refining it, or were you thinking maybe this isn't the right thing and had some doubts? I'm just wondering where you're at mentally.
So I don't like putting out a product that's not great. So the product was good from the get-go. Once, even in Austin, the event itself, what we sold, the tickets we sold were for a really good event. It was an epic experience. We just need to polish the logistics and the standard operating procedures of how we do things, what it's supposed to look like, understand where things are going, and how they get there. So
you were in your own head a bit after those first two.
Yeah.
Like, hard to see you. I know you, and probably like critical. Like, I can do better. I want to do better. kind of.
Yeah, constantly. And I'm a big believer, if my kid is really good in tennis and not great in math, I'm not going to hire a math tutor. I'm going to hire a tennis coach.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. That's my mentality.
Play to your strengths.
Yeah. Play to your strength. Not so. There were a lot of great things there that were already there, and we just needed to understand how to properly utilize them. So, and then the second one we did in the Bay Area in August of 23 was incredible. We were able to sell out. We had that's something that I've learned a lot about is influencer. How to work with influencers, influencer marketing, social media marketing, which the more I do, the more I understand that I need to learn a lot more.
Do you attribute a lot of the current success to
100%?
Yeah.
100% of it. We don't advertise anywhere.
Yep.
We don't have paid advertisement. The only sometimes paid things that we do is work with influencers. So we had an amazing lady named Rachel who has a great following post about the first one we did in the Bay Area, and we were sold out in 96 hours.
Wow.
Incredible. Just incredible. And she's amazing. So shout out to Silicon Valley Foodies. She's incredible. If you don't follow her, follow her. So yeah, that's, and once we had that, we were sold out. We knew, okay, we have something here. Let's start in polishing it and understanding what's good and what's not good and how do we do this better. And it keeps getting better. Every carnival we do, we polish it, we get it better. We polish it, we get it better. It's still a pop-up. It's only 2 years. In reality, it's January of 2023 was the first one in the U.S.
So you're averaging almost one a month.
The goal is to do one a month between February and November.
Got it.
So yeah, our last one will be Halloween weekend, but we'll have some months that we'll have 2. So yeah, the goal is.
So most of your culinary background most of it has been, or not most of it, but a lot of it was catering.
Yes.
Right. Catering. And then you started Meat Carnival. Now you're still doing both.
Yes.
Right. Do you feel yourself getting pulled to one or the other, or in terms of like what you enjoy more, or do you still like to do both equally? How do you feel now that you've been running Meat Carnival for 2 years?
Never ask a chef what their favorite thing to cook is, right? I'm sure you've learned that by now. Yeah. They hate this question.
Yeah, it's over.
But the answer that I always give when people ask me that is something that I haven't done in a long time. So on the Blossom side, on my catering company side, I get to do more fine dining, more elaborate, more like, we don't really use tweezers because I don't like tweezers, but it's definitely more refined food. Like on Sunday, I've spent 20 minutes with my new extern making sure that she cuts chives the way that I like chives to be cut. And we had to throw away like 5 bunches of chives until she got it right. Which is something that I'm not saying we don't do for Carnival, but that is not the emphasis.
It's different.
Carnival.
It's definitely different. Yeah.
It's more primal. So I get to do both. It's not like, do I like this more? Do I like that more? If I only did Carnival and never did fine dining again, I would miss fine dining.
Sure.
If I only did fine dining and never did Carnival, I would miss that primal, that
scratches a different itch that you have.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's nice to have that,
Yeah.
I think that's important, in business too, because it unlocks different parts of your brain too, right? You can be doing something for Blossom that maybe picks up, an idea for Meat Carnival and vice versa. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that from Gary Vee on Instagram this morning, that if you find an entrepreneur that just does one thing, they're not really an entrepreneur. They just grew up in that world and got lucky. An entrepreneur will do like 5. I mean, how many things do you do?
Yeah,
all around, right?
Exactly, and enjoy that aspect of it.
Exactly.
And I mean, there. When you're an entrepreneur, I think you have the thing you doing, your job. For you, maybe making food, right? For me, building pizza ovens, but that's not necessarily what I love. What's that?
you consider them pizza ovens? Because I always
you know,
correct
it's
people.
so funny. Okay, I'm glad you asked that. So I go back and forth. Yes, it's a wood-fired oven, right? Because you say pizza and it boxes it into it's just pizza. I like to say, actually, you know what I do a lot is I'll say wood-fired pizza oven, you know, and check all the boxes. But I think sometimes I'll say pizza oven because people just can imagine the thing in their head that I'm saying when I say that. And then sometimes if I say wood-fired oven, yes, that's more technically accurate. But some people might be like, wood-fired what? You know, and maybe don't know what to think of. So it depends on the context. For SEO, it's always wood-fired pizza oven, though.
Okay.
Because you want to hit all those keywords.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah,
no, it's all
right. But no, I guess where I was going was just you like the part of your job where you're cooking food and making food. I like the part of my job where we're making pizza ovens. But what I really like at the core of what I do is the challenge of running a business, right? And all the different hats you wear and making things better. And I am the type where I can't do the same thing over and over, day in, day out. I have to be able to switch gears and spend a day tiling an oven, and then the next day on the phone making a sale, and the next day traveling, you know, somewhere across the country to install a pizza oven. Like, I like the dynamic differences. I need that in my life. You know?
No, that's 100%. That's where I was like, because I like when we always have music playing in the kitchen.
Right.
And the one rule is don't play the same genre more than 15 minutes. You can go gangster rap followed by Disney.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But don't give me Disney for 15 minutes straight. Don't give me any like 90s grunge for
That's so interesting because I feel like, wow, okay, so if you're relaxing and mentally kind of shut off and you're enjoying time with friends or, you know, hanging out in a social setting, you kind of, everyone's different, but like generally people seem to like that consistent background, same type of music. But in your setting, you're being creative. Your mind is on.
It needs to be on.
And
can't be the same.
I could see that you almost kind of turning into a zombie if you're listening to the same thing over and over, right?
It drives like...
So that's just like you're shifting. You're like, you know, huh? That's it. That's a good strategy, I think. Yeah. For
what
working,
music do you
like
listen to?
when I'm working, lately lo-fi music. But again, it depends what you're doing. You know, my guys in the shop, they do. It's funny. We've got some like old heads, you know, like my age, like 30s, right? And then you got literal 18, 19-year-olds, right? And so like, you know, like older managers will like,
I feel old now.
They're going to play like they'll play them like 90s rock and stuff. And so it's like a lot of, I think, like 80s, 90s rock. And then like the new guys will get on and be like Morgan Wallen and like, you know, newer music. But yeah, for me, if I'm like trying to get in a zone, I'll do some lo-fi, but then I'll also do like I'll just shuffle the whole thing, you know?
That's one of the things I love about having an Alexa. Because with Alexa, I just, hey, play this for a little while, and then I'll tell her, hey, I like this song, so it adds it to my likes. And then I just tell her, hey, shuffle
Play
my
likes. That's what I do.
And then I'm like, okay, there's a 10-hour playlist of just random, like it can start with Hamilton, go through Eminem, Tupac, Lion King, and Broadway. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny when you get some, I don't know about you, I get like, every once in a while I'll get some of my 5-year-old's music will just pop up randomly.
That's great.
And like, it was fun. Some of it, I mean, I was like one night I was like playing him a song so we go to sleep, and it was like some kid's artist. And then like I get in my truck the next morning to go to work and it just starts playing it. And I was like listening to it for like a good 3. I was like, it's kind of good. But no, music's interesting. Just what it can unlock, you know, creatively, and just, you know, what it can do to your mood, right? And when you're working, your mood, for me, everyone's different. For me, like definitely like my performance is very dependent on the type of mood I'm in, right? And music can get you to a place where you need to be, you know, certain, and it can do this the opposite, right? It can be like, oh, this is kind of making me not feel it right now.
Yeah.
Be quick to skip
for
a
us,
song.
music is only playing when we're prepping. When we do like grinding through the day.
Yeah.
When we actually have service, especially in catering, it's different because we go to different places. But even if we were in a place that we could play music during service, we stop at service. Once we start plating and going, music stops. Everything is just super focused.
Well, you're the performers, right?
Yeah.
It's your show at that point.
Yeah.
And
at Carnival, we have a live band, and it was always a challenge. Where do we put the band? because music is important.
Yeah.
For the guest experience.
Yeah, you guys had a great, I want to say like it was bluegrass kind of
It's
band.
constantly change.
Yeah, that was cool.
But like, where do we put them? Because we want, if people are dancing, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Like I want them to dance, but I can't have the music fight with the chef talking. This one day when we were still here in Napa, we had one of the guests bought an apron, a carnival apron, and then went to the band and asked to sing a song. And they thought he was one of our employees. It's like, yeah, sure, sing a song. And he started singing Tennessee Whiskey. And all of a sudden, everybody at Carnival stopped. And Carnival doesn't stop literally a day before, we had somebody have a heart attack at Carnival.
Wow.
And people were eating next to them while we were tending to the guy. Like, hey, let's take care of you. Ambulance came. We got him to the hospital. Everybody's okay. We have a defibrillator. Like, we did everything right. But the people immediately next to that person noticed. But 15 feet from there, people were eating, were having a blast. And
Just
that
unaware that
it's happening.
Yeah.
And then this guy was singing Tennessee Whiskey, and everybody stopped and just listened to Tennessee Whiskey. It was the most incredible thing ever. So, yeah, that's music is big. Music is big.
Yeah, definitely. What is the? I was gonna say, what's your favorite thing right now? Can I say that? What's your favorite thing right now at Meat Carnival? Like, when you're good, because you have a station, right? You have
I don't have a station anymore. So
oh, you're not doing it because when I went, I think you were like
I was co-hosting a station. Now I'm off a station. So we just got Black Betty in October. Black Betty is our smoker, and
you got that. You went to Texas.
Drove out to Texas,
Austin,
to Luling.
Austin.
Yeah. And so cooking on the fire table is something that is relatively new to me.
Yeah.
And
describe a fire table.
Describe a fire table. This fire table is the old school hearth taken to the next level. So basically it's an 8-foot wide by 3.5 foot deep by it starts at about 4 feet high and goes to about 7 feet high. That's where the racks that we can hang things on. Box or hearth, fire brick on the bottom, and then everything is modular in the middle. So there are bars all around that you can hang shelves. You can hang the firebox. We have a burn box in the middle that you put wood in and you get ambers at the bottom. And we have griddles that can go on it. We have grills that can go on it. We have wire shelves that can go on it. We have we can hang pots like Dutch ovens and stuff on it. So it's a really cool contraption that allows us to cook with live fire. And if I start off with, I feed people, so I don't usually cook the elaborate things if I don't have the crowd. The fire table is one of the few things let's just make some, like, let's look for what we can make on it versus like, oh, we want to create a dish. So usually when I create a dish, it starts off with, oh, we have this beautiful salmon. What are we doing with this beautiful salmon? Or we have these gorgeous asparagus. How do we cook them? Or sunchokes are in season. What do I do with sunchokes? This is like, okay, I have this fire table.
This thing leads
to, exactly.
Yeah, you start with that.
So I have a fire table. What can I cook with it? So we did this amazing dish. Basically a salmon lettuce wrap that you hold it with your hand. But we were able to hang a salmon right in front of the fire and spin it slowly. And then we smoked the cauliflower and made a puree out of that. So it's a lot of fun just playing with the fire table, being able to, what can we do with it? Because in a way, it's rediscovering cooking technique.
It's pure. It's so pure.
It's very pure.
Just like in that, if I had to build something in addition to pizza ovens, wood-fired ovens, it would be those hearths, because like a pizza oven, it's just this pure primal fire and gravity and vertical.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you think of outdoor cooking, nothing against these other things. There's buttons, there's lids, there's hinges, there's knobs, and there's electricity. But an oven, a hearth is literally just fire and your mind, and and it's the opposite of low temperature cooking with these things, where you're barbecuing, you set it to a very precise temperature, right? 375 on my knob. If I'm smoking, it can be to 1/10 of a degree. But these things, ovens and hearths, it's controlled chaos. It's very different in the sense that
I don't know how much chaos it is. I think
I say chaos because you think fire and log, right? But I guess what I'm going is, it's just not necessarily precision.
it's less knowledge and more skill.
You're working with the fire, not against it or controlling it. You're kind of working together, you know?
I think it's more skill than knowledge. Right?
Absolutely.
So I know that a medium rare steak starts at 131. I can set my immersion circulator. It's knowledge. I don't have to have skill.
Exactly.
With that.
Yes. You can follow a instruction list to do something perfectly.
To the T.
Yeah.
Here whenever I cook with fire, it actually requires my full senses to evaluate something that I might not make a conscious decision that I'm evaluating.
Sure.
It might be like, okay, my skill tells me that my skill tells my muscle memory that this is what I need to do. Or my muscle memory tells my skill, you need to move this fish because it's getting too hot, move it here. Or get more wood in here to move the ambers down.
There's subtle cues when you're cooking like that. Like you said, you're not even realizing it. It's subconscious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think and there's always the question of, is a cook, not a chef. Because I'll put the chefing of the managing of people and managing of the kitchen to the side. Cooks like to have skill, right? You want to create something new. And the question is, are you an artist or are you a craftsman, right?
Following a recipe or creating a recipe kind of thing?
Not just. Even when you follow a recipe. Let's say you're one of my cooks and I give you a recipe, okay? You can sear this duck breast 15 seconds longer or a minute shorter, right? Because at the end of the day, it's you feeling where it's at, right? And that's where the craftsmanship is, right? And the artistry that comes with great craftsmanship, right? The Michelangelo's assistants, right? They were great craftsmen, right? Painting the Sistine Chapel, they were great crafts. He didn't paint the whole thing by himself, right? And that's great craftsmen like to have more control over their situation. And when a cook becomes a great craftsman or craftswoman or craftsperson, they like to have that, because all of a sudden you have more control and you have more creativity, and then you're starting to walk the line of artist versus craftsman, and that's where you want to be, right? It's not just operate, because I can show you how to operate the fire table. And, we have great culinary students that come and work with us. We're very blessed. Overall, the crew that I get to work with is incredible. I'm very fortunate to have them. But I can show you, and then you can make decisions. But the more you do it, the more educated your decision is. And then you become a better craftsman. Versus, if I cook on an immersion circulator, I can set it all from my phone. In essence, I don't really need a cook there, right? We're in a day that from my phone, I can set up 5 immersion circulators, get the food dumped in them.
They've got robots that make pizza.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
And it's not a bad pizza. That's the big thing. It's not bad pizza. Mm-hmm. But what we like is that personal touch. We actually like, as people, the mistakes. If that pizza spent like half a second longer than the robot would say in the oven, but you notice that there's a difference, it's not monotonous. You know, I was just in Japan, and I got to eat at 2 pizzerias that, they're in the class of their own in Tokyo. Tokyo style pizza is incredible. Highly recommend, by the way, if you haven't been, go. But seeing how they do things differently, it's the same recipe. At the end of the day, it's almost the exact same recipe, right? It's flour, water, yeast or starter, or whatever, like wild or commercial yeast, flour, water, yeast, salt. I like olive oil in my dough. That's it, right? There's nothing beyond that. So the decisions that you make along the way make a difference. And that is what we like about things, right? We don't like the perfection. We almost prefer the imperfection to a degree. And that's what live fire cookery is. It's all those little imperfections. Because I can get an electric griddle, to be hotter than any wood burning griddle would be, just because electricity has more power than fire.
Yeah, they make electric dome pizza ovens that get up to 900,000 degrees.
Yeah, it's easy, but they're not the same. We like that imperfection. We like that ability to say, okay, this is like that. It's not. It's hard to explain.
Well, we also like wood fire too.
Everybody likes fire.
That's just like a thing inside of us.
Yeah, we like
fire. As humans, there's something with fire.
There's something about fire. Fire, running water, somebody else doing your job, things you can't really look away from.
Yeah.
If somebody else is doing your job, don't look away. Let them do their thing. But burning fire is one of those as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I read this really interesting article. It was a while ago. I don't remember the details. It was in the Atlantic, and it was just about how, when humans, one of the big things for us, kind of in our brain size, and the reason it's so big had to do, they think, with the fact that we learned to cook our meat and our food, and that allowed us to absorb significantly more calories in a shorter period of time. And
protein is more readily available when you cook it.
Exactly. And that could have been a huge factor in kind of our, where we are now as a species. And that would make sense with our connection with fire, But.
Yeah. Overall, just fire and the, somebody was like my wife's second, he's a cousin anyways. He's a very analytical guy. And he was trying to understand what it is about live fire that is more fun to cook on than, because it was like, it's more consistent. Electricity is more consistent.
Sure.
But there's a deep psychological factor of how things are.
Yep.
And there's a reason why if you have a wood burning oven in your restaurant, if you have a hearth, it's in the center of the restaurant because that's what people want to see.
Yes.
And that's what draws you in. And again, if we look back at Carnival, people don't like the food at Carnival, delicious, really, really good. There are no bad dishes. We write the whole menu, so we know it's delicious. But it's not more delicious than some of the best restaurants here. But people enjoy coming to see and have the connection. And at the end of the day, I feed people not because they need the nourishment. Okay, you don't go to a restaurant for nourishment. You can have a frozen meal that has all the micro and macro
a smoothie, everything blended into a liquid.
You can have that, but you don't go to a restaurant for that. Breaking bread together is a huge thing that is very significant for us.
Eating food is about so much more than the taste of a thing, right? It's about the ambiance. It's about the people you're with. It's about how it looks. It's about how things smell. It's about texture. There's just so much more that goes into it.
Exactly. It's not just
taste and flavor.
So that I think is the biggest thing. And when we have live fire, it just adds that extra element that we're looking for.
Yeah, and when it comes to wood-fired ovens or ovens specifically too, they make electric ovens, gas ovens, and wood-burning ovens, right? And they all, in terms of like purely taste, make the same product.
Yeah.
Truly. I mean, this is a point of contention with a lot of people, but scientifically, if I'm cooking in a oven with wood burning and I'm cooking at 900 degrees, there is no smoke.
Yeah. The smoke is not there, and it's not there long enough to actually capture any smoke
Exactly.
essence.
I mean, you have
even if there was smoke.
Yes. Think about smokers. You have to pound something with meat for hours and days sometimes to get that flavor, like 90 seconds with no smoke. But are you touching wood? Yes. Are you then touching food with your hands that touch the wood? Yeah. Is ash burning and maybe kind of getting on your crust? So you're getting that. There are subtle things. But when it comes to actually using it, where I was going with that is, with an electric oven, a gas oven, it's knob, it's button. But with a wood oven, you're feeding it, right? Yep. And there's this whole skill challenge with doing that part right, because you're basically, the rate of fuel you add is what's going to determine high and low. And it just gives this more involved experience when you're cooking, At
the end of the day, all cooking, I mean, if we start with as babies, a mother breastfeeding the baby is like, here's food from me, I love you, right? And for a lot of chefs, and when you grow up, it's still, hey, here, I cooked for you, my child, I love you, okay? And at some point, it's always that, like when you make a dinner for your wife, hey, I made you dinner, I love you.
Right.
It's a way of showing emotion. And for a lot of chefs and a lot of cooks, it's the other way around a bit. It's like, hey, I made you food, love me.
Interesting. Wow,
right?
that's
it's like,
deep.
Yeah. But the more effort you put into it, like, hey, I made this for you, love me. Because it's not like, as a guest at the restaurant or at guest at Carnival, I know some of them, but I don't know all of them. I love them all for supporting me, and I appreciate them, and they're incredible. And we do have the best audience and the best guests in the world. Have you noticed that, by the way, how chill they are?
Oh my gosh.
It's the most chill crowd ever.
And I got to say, when I was there, I noticed that because I remember thinking, if this was a different type of crowd, it could be very disorganized and not fun, but everyone was just floating and talking.
Very chill, very supportive.
People who like to eat are the best people. That's what it is.
It's that, and that's what it is. We like, hey, we made this for you, love us, right? And we put
this. Is it a respect thing a little bit too? Like,
it's not an ego thing per se.
Yeah.
Respect for me is ego. Like, it's not that. It's like, hey, we have put our heart and soul into this, and we want you to love this and us as an extension, right? And at the end of the day, that's what we're all looking for, right? We're all looking for to be loved and to love people, right? That's, everybody's looking for that, regardless of what they're doing. And that in food is very direct. And that's where the turning of the knob is less than the stoking of the fire, right? I stoked the fire for you. I made you this, love me. And that's, I think, walking around, I mean, we're here in Napa, we see it in winemakers.
Yeah.
Winemakers, when they hear that somebody talking to them like, oh, I had your wine, I love it. Winemaking is like one of the most ancient things that people have been doing, right? It become very technical today, but they're doing something and they spend all this like getting to the top. We all just want to be loved. And that's the big thing. And that's where I think the difference between, turning a knob or pressing a button and stoking a fire, like, hey, I made all this for you, love me more, right? It's not just, I'm not just following this set of rules or set of directions. I'm actually putting myself into it. And that's the biggest thing, it's how much of yourself do you put into it? And I think that's the turning of the knobs and pressing of the buttons that you were talking about. You don't feel like you're putting a lot of yourself into it.
It's like my ovens. There are ways to build my oven a lot faster and a lot cheaper, but especially the dome, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, they pour a mold, done. You can scale it, it's cheap. But we're cutting each brick, right, by hand, 4 sides, hand laying it. And there's other things beyond that where it's not the easiest way to do it, but it's the best way to do it. And you give a lot.
And when your guys hear from somebody, hey, we love your oven.
My God. Every chance I get for someone, when someone's coming to tour the facility or to look at their ovens, I try and make it a point for them to meet every single person. And every time, people are just so blown away by the craftsmanship and those. I mean, anybody.
How does it make your guys feel?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're on cloud 9.
Yeah.
They love hearing that kind of stuff. They're truly passionate, just like a chef would be passionate about their food, a winemaker passionate, and it's harder as a winemaker, as a chef, cook, you're going to generally get feedback much more. And when you're in a warehouse building something, you're shipping it off, right? They're not so yeah, it just means so much to those guys. And so yeah, any chance I get for someone to come tour.
And for them as well, like that's, oh man, they love me, right? They love my oven. In extension, they love me.
But because they're putting a piece of themselves into each one.
Exactly. And that's at the end of the day, that's what it's about. We all just want to be loved. We all want to love. And we all want to create something that makes people feel something.
Memories, that's what I say about my oven. Yes, it's technically a pizza oven, but it's really just a memory generator. Because you're in your backyard, you're cooking on a pizza oven. Who are you surrounded by? The people you love the most in the world, right? And you're making memories with those people, like real memories, right? Like core memories. For me, I can easily remember all my favorite times cooking with people I love and like to spend time with. And, you have to have that in your life, know? And
Geffen my son was just asking if we can have something for his baseball team. Like, hey, can they come to have a pizza party in the backyard? I'm like, yeah, because that's how we host.
What it's there for.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's not there for you, right?
No.
It's for your family and your friends and the people you care about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. It's about creating these lasting feelings with people. And that's why we go to those extra lengths.
Yeah. No, I agree. Deep shit.
Yeah. We didn't, how did we end up here? We need beers. You should have beers in this podcast.
We should. Yep. Some beers.
How did you get into making ovens?
How did I get into making ovens? Well, basically my dad, he was retired, but he's not the retiring type, right? He's just a hard-working dude and always needs to be busy. And, the church he attended, they knew he's like a builder, engineer type. And they just said, hey, like, we want a pizza oven. Can you build it for us? And he was like, what? A what? You know what it was? And but he was like, sure, like I'll give it my best shot, and he had built barbecues before, but he had never really known or cooked on a pizza oven. So he did some research, right? Some basic stuff. And it's like, okay, like I think I got something here. And he built it, first one for the church. And he really enjoyed the process. And while he was learning about it, he was like, wow, these things are really cool, and back then, still now, but definitely this is probably 12 years ago, Americans didn't really know about pizza ovens and wood-fired ovens. Every other culture in the world, these were like something passed on generation to generation, but America is a relatively new country. So we've always been like, oh, barbecue, right? So culturally, it's not as many people know about pizza. So anyways, my dad learned a lot about them, and then he did like a really deep dive into website forums, books, and he's the type of person who can look at all these he can look at 100 designs for a pizza oven, and he can pick out the best parts of each one, right? This person knows what they're talking about. This is a smart, and so he took all those things and he created his own very unique design. And I remember he was building it at my house where I was living at the time. And like, I watched him build it, I'd drive out every day and see him and I didn't know what it was. And I'm like, what is this? He's like, it's pizza oven. And I was like, it didn't look like a pizza oven. And he was slowly building it kind of piece by piece over time. And then I'll never forget, I had been gone for like a week. I was on a trip. And when I left, it was getting close, but still wasn't something like I looked at it and it just didn't look that crazy. And then I remember coming home and he had done a lot of work and he had basically finished it. He had built basically the one that's on your trailer, that model and size. Okay. And like I saw it for the first time finished, and it's just something in my head. I took a picture of him standing next to it. I'll never forget that moment because when I saw it, I immediately knew in my soul, I was like, this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. My dad's gonna build these and I'll sell them. I just knew. I knew it, without a shadow of a doubt. And sure enough, like my dad and I had kind of been in business together before, making like these plant stands. Like it was like a hobby. And so I told him, I was like, Dad, if you can build these, I can sell them. And he said, yeah, like let's do it. And he found our first client was just like someone at the church that he had built the oven for, this family. And they were like, hey, we'll buy one if you build it for us. And through one of my friends, I got the local newspaper to do a story on my dad building these ovens. And this was the first one he was building. So they did this story on the first one. And what happened is right away we had steady business for two reasons. One was the newspaper article, and we live in Napa. There's a good market for it. But also we were building these on Atlas Peak Road in Napa. I know you remember that place. This is, if you're not from Napa, Atlas Peak Road is like right to the country club, very affluent. And so right away we had tons of clients from people just driving by and pulling in because you could see what we were doing and building these ovens. And it kind of snowballed. And then what happened is I was working at a hotel at the time, front desk, and I'm doing both, right? And I'm working full-time at the hotel, and I'm kind of doing this as a side gig, trying to grow it. And, we're doing it.
That's what I keep telling my wife.
Yeah.
I've been trying to push her to start a business of her own. Like, you don't quit. If I can give you one tip as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
You don't quit your job
until you absolutely have to.
Until you absolutely have to. Yes. And you end up with like a 36, 37 hour day, and you work 9 days a week, 9 days a week. And then you're like, okay, now I can quit.
Exactly. That's perfect segue. Because for me, I'm doing both for about 6 months, and it's close, but it's not there, right? I'm not quite ready. I can't sustain myself, off just the pizza oven thing that was going on. And so then what happened after about 6 months, we had our earthquake. And I was working at Andaz, the hotel downtown. It gets red tagged, right?
Oh, wow.
Nobody can go into this building until it gets fixed, right? And Andaz, part of Hyatt, giant corporation, we got full wages for 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And that was it. That was the sign from God, right? It was like, I'm like, start this new business. I really love it. It's going well, but I'm not able to give it as much time as I need to take it full time. This happens. And so now I get to spend those next 3 months doing this full time. And I was able to just, make something happen in that time so that when that time ran out, I quit, and I had something to sustain myself full time. And then it just snowballed from there. It just every year we doubled and doubled and doubled. And yeah, that's kind of led us to where we are today.
It's amazing. How much does God play part in your life?
A lot, I'd say, I grew up, we were raised Christian, and, our family's very religious and what happened when, I got married to Alyssa, my wife. She's Greek Orthodox. So I converted to Greek Orthodox, and, we go to church quite a bit, but I believe in God. And, I definitely think that God plays a role in all the outcomes that have led me here today, and what about you?
So I'm an atheist. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in a higher being. Mm-hmm. That being said,
there's atheist and agnostic.
I don't know the difference.
I think agnostic means you believe there's something out there,
or
you're open to the idea, and an atheist says no, like hard no.
I don't believe that there's a being up there that is
like a divine figure,
a figure of sort that guides or has any any care of our lives. That being said, I'm very much Jewish. So when Geffen was born now with Aviv, it's always a question of like, how do we raise them? Like, we went from live fire to this, but fuck it.
Fuck it. This is why we need beers.
But it's very important to me that my kids are Jewish. I'm very much Jewish, even though I don't believe in God.
Well, that's your.
It's my tradition. It's my heritage.
It's your heritage. It's like
where I come from.
Yeah.
It's rooted deep in my being, but so it's always interesting to me, like, how do you? Because I don't know what to when I talk to the kids. Like, do I tell them that there's a
How
God?
old's Geffen? Like 7
He's
or 8?
11.
Now? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's a while.
Oh
So it's a constant thing, and now he has his bar mitzvah. So for me, it's always very like, listen, we are part of a tradition of people, and that tradition has a set of rules that we might not follow, but it doesn't make us less of part of that people.
Yeah, it's a very kind of like Jewish situation. Not a lot of cultures are like, their race is kind of so intertwined with their religion, and so that's got to be a challenge. And he's at that age where the questions are going to start coming up.
They're going to start coming up. We start looking at his bar mitzvah. It's coming in 2 years. So yeah, it's always, I'm always looking around to see how do people.
Do you believe do you believe there's nothing? This is just, it's all happenstance. Our creation, our existence is pure biology. There's zero outside influence besides nature and, evolution. Are you open to the fact that there could be something spiritually, whatever it is, beyond what we can see,
Beyond
touch,
physics.
feel? Yes.
I'm not going to argue if I get proof. So I'm not in a place like, oh no, I'm going to try and disprove everything.
But that means that since there is no proof, there is nothing.
Yes. Like there can't be a God in Auschwitz at the same time.
That's a very hard thing.
Right.
That's something I think most people, I definitely struggle with that one, is just how can there be so much.
And I'm not here to undermine your belief,
Sure.
but for me,
no, I get it. I struggle with that too. Like, how could, it's a hard one, it's,
like,
and I
or like everything that we see happening, or Uganda or Rwanda, what happened there, there can't be a God that is all knowing, all good.
it can't, it's a
paradox.
A paradox, yeah.
It's a paradox there.
Yeah.
So
we need a theologian.
Bring one on. But that's the thing for me, but I'm always curious to see, because for me, an entrepreneur is somebody who first and foremost believes in themselves. Right. And that's where my question was coming from.
Yeah. Yes and no. I mean, your definition of an entrepreneur, though, can be different than someone else's. I mean, there's a lot of entrepreneurs who would say the opposite, right? They'd say, I did none of this, right?
You did. I mean, I think the first time.
Okay, so you think there's no such thing as luck?
I don't believe in luck. I believe
there's no such thing as luck.
There is a bit of luck.
But where does that luck come from?
Luck comes from a lot of hard work. If you're not willing to put in the hours before the opportunity presents itself, then when because the opportunity presents itself every day. Every day there's 1,000 opportunities that I am not capable of capturing because I didn't put that effort into there. So I constantly put the effort into, how do I get to that place? I'm going to work hard. I'm going to put this product, and I'm going to ignore these other opportunities. And for me, an entrepreneur, I've known you since 2014, right after that earthquake is when I met you.
Yep.
Right at that chamber event down by the river.
Yeah.
And you have been believing in this product for the longest while. And you've been hustling this product, working those 9-day weeks since I known you. And that's why it's always interesting to me, because like, if you didn't do all this hard work, God would not have put it up there, right? But then again, there's the church, okay? And the church is what's started it, quote unquote. So it's very interesting to me that like that mentality in an entrepreneur. How much do I hustle out of it versus how much am I expecting, quote unquote, to be given, right? Because if there's always, like when I was a kid, there was this negotiation, like, hey, God, I'll be really good. If I be really good, will my parents not divorce, right? Like, is that a thing, right? And that's something that's very, again, quote unquote, childish, like this negotiation. Hey, God, if you let me win the lottery, I'm going to donate my money to...
I feel like most people get some point in their lives
right?
where they're trying to make a deal. Yeah.
But an entrepreneur doesn't do that, right? You're like, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to make sure that I need to sell 100 ovens this year. I am out there making whatever. Or I need to sell catering events right now. Cool. I am going out there. I'm going wine tasting 5 times a week right now just to go see people to hope of bringing one event. Because that's what I do. God has, from me, nothing to do with it. But in the core of being, and again, if we go back to fire cookery, right? It's that, for me, it's that cook that's looking at what's happening and has that skill and that stamina to stand in front of the fire, to stoke it, to do it, to understand everything that's coming in. So I'm not saying no. I mean, I'm not trying to ruin anybody's... But it was interesting to me because you mentioned God like 3 times in one story. And I'm like, in the church, and then thank God, and God presented it in the earthquake. I'm like, okay, interesting. So
yeah, I think, and I mean, it depends how you define luck, but I don't think there's too much difference between, saying, I attribute some or success of my success or some of the opportunities I've had to God. I feel like that's interchangeable with someone saying maybe a lot of this is due to luck, right? Outside influence.
I don't think there's any luck in what you do.
And I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm just saying in general, if someone says that, luck played a big part or God played a big part, you're talking about an outside influence beyond your control. Now, defining luck, though, you define it in a way that I've heard it too. Some people would say luck is happenstance, zero outside influence, or effect, a cause and effect. You didn't do anything to generate it; it just happened. But I'll hear billionaires or people who are successful by standard metrics almost always attribute something to luck. But usually, the definition I like and have heard about luck is it's more like you said. You're working so hard and putting yourself out there so much that you're generating more opportunities for a good thing to happen to you.
Exactly.
Right?
It's being at the right place at the right time.
But how are you going to be there if you're not putting yourself out there?
Exactly.
And so you can...
Because if that earthquake would have happened a year before for you, it would not have been an act of God that made the business happen, right? It would have been, oh shit, now I need to deal with this and go back to work.
Yep.
So it's a lot of like making yourself available to the opportunity. And the opportunity comes from, the definition of God, if we go back, is like, is nature God? Because nature doesn't give a shit about us, but it has a lot of influence on us day in, day out, right? If the river floods, the river floods. If it
rains during your event gets canceled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's not much you can do. So and it's just interesting. I think the entrepreneurial quest is you have to be ready for luck to come. And when luck does come or the opportunity does present itself, you have to be ready. And or you have to know, okay, this is just not my opportunity right now. Also
patience
and saying,
not jumping at the wrong opportunity.
Yeah.
But also I'm a firm believer that you got to really buck up and make some big mistakes to truly grow.
Yeah.
In life, but definitely as a business owner.
Yeah.
There's only so much someone can tell you, hey, that's a stupid idea. If you do that, you're going to lose a lot of money and be in a bad position. That compared to doing the thing and feeling the pain and the suffering of making a bad decision, you're going to remember that forever.
Yeah.
No one can, and that's just like raising a child. That's like growing up. You got to have space to fuck up.
Yep.
And survive. You have to.
Yep. It's if I may quote Anthony Bourdain, I can always pick up a brunch shift.
Yes. He's got some great
He's got
quotes,
great
that
quotes.
man.
But yeah, that's, being able to having a fallback is really important. Having something that, and it can be a shitty fallback. No, but I don't want to do brunch. It's one of my least favorite shifts. I do them. And the good thing about brunch is that it's done early and you still have the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I hate waking up early, but I will do brunch.
Chefs, their time zones are much more evening focused.
For sure.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I got to go to find a park bench and just stare off.
There's a good one up in Westwood Hills.
Oh yeah, Austin Park has a good one too. Yeah,
Austin does have a good bench.
Yeah.
No,
that's where they land hot air balloons out there too. Austin's got a good one. No, Austin
has a good bench.
Oh yeah, they got a great bench. You can see not as high as Westwood Hills.
Westwood Hills has
wider.
a good one. Has a good one looking towards the valley.
Yes,
Allison is more towards the hills.
It is exactly, and it's back in the hills. So, well, hey man, it's good talk. This was fun. This should be a reoccurring thing with you. I feel like
I would love that. I would love nothing more.
Cool. All right, ready?
Let's do it.
Cool. Thanks, man.